drastically different body sizes for his brothers.
Who's the mailman? Jesus, how tall was the mailman?
So
that's a 9-inch difference.
That's kind of.
It's like you to Danny.
Oh Jesus! It's a good thing he barely listens to our show. He'd be hurting.
He knows he's short.
45, 50, 45, 40, 35, 30. He's gonna go. Holy cow!
Big Red Junkies.
Day by day, he gets better and better. We get better and better. Team is Oh, man, woman, and child, he just turned this stadium inside out.
What's up, guys?
What up?
It's been a little bit.
Long time no talk.
It's been a long time no talk. Man, I'm excited. I'm excited to actually get back in here and have a little conversation. We've all been either sick or Jed's worked a bazillion hours, Christmas packages and bullshit.
Weather.
You're finally getting through being done Santa Claus.
Yeah, pretty much. And then right after that, then the weather came and said,
"Boy, did it come too!"
It came everywhere. It's still out there.
Yeah. If only we could see the sun and maybe it'll go away. But
got to deal with dad's come first.
Jesus Christ!
He said the sun.
Nope, I don't.
No,
I'm just,
no. Okay, moving on.
We're
here to talk sports. Yep. We're here to talk sports, right?
Well, that is a sport.
It's the wrong sporting event.
We're talking transfer portal tonight. But we're all fired up. We've been fired up. It's been a heck of a fun time to watch Matt Rhule work, and he just kind of seems like a little bit of a silent assassin the way he's gone about things this offseason.
I don't know how silent he is, but
I just mean when it comes to the portal.
No, I know what you mean.
I feel like there was all this talk and all this hoopla about the way that we were going about the recruiting process, and Raiola obviously stole the show, and that's fucking huge. It was amazing. I think he definitely helped with some of the portal guys too, it sounded like.
Yeah.
But all the big portal movers and all these different things, ding, he goes over here, ding, he goes over here, and it kind of looked like Nebraska's going to sit back and not take anybody. Mm-hmm. And then it was like, oh, well, hey,
no, they're just really choosy.
Yeah, we're just really choosy, and he went specifically for dudes who could be day one impact players in spots that we absolutely needed someone. Yeah, and they addressed it like to the T.
I went back and earlier today listened to one of our recruiting shows from December, and a couple of the things that we talked about, that how they didn't sign any running backs in the recruiting class.
And that was our biggest worry.
That was one of the big worries. They were very thin at the linebacker position, specifically the inside linebacker position, mainly with the guys that were losing. And we loved the offensive linemen that came in, but obviously they're really young. Rhule has talked about many times how he really wants the incoming freshmen to
have their moment to sit back and learn the playbook
and grow their body into the way that they want the bodies to be. And then we also knew that we needed some experienced wide receivers, and literally that's what we did in the portal.
Yeah, I think that Micah. I'm gonna fuck this one up. Maskua. Yeah,
just say it fast.
Yeah. That was the one that came completely out of left field
for them.
Nobody
too.
even knew
That's
the
what
dude
it sounded
was.
Like, at least.
Yeah, nobody even knew the dude was looking, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh hey, by the way, we got this like seasoned veteran starter.
Yeah.
That's I think he still has 3 years left.
Oh no, he's got 1 year left.
Just 1 year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It sounded like he went to kind of the trial, to see where he would have got drafted. He went through that process. He didn't really like what was given to him as far as his projected draft spot. And it sounded like Florida thought that he was going to be going to the draft, so they filled his spot. And then when he wasn't going to go to the draft, they were like, "We got nothing for you." And since we recruited him last year, when he went from Baylor to Florida, and his brother is on the team, on Nebraska's team right now, it's kind of funny with how big this Micah kid is. His brother is
340 pounds big.
Yeah.
I only got him at 335, 6'5".
But his brother's a running back at Nebraska, and he's 5'11".
Oh, fuck.
Drastically different body sizes for his brothers.
Who's the mailman? Jesus, how tall was the mailman?
So
that's a 9-inch difference.
That's
brothers.
kind of
It's like you to Danny.
Oh, Jesus. It's a good thing he barely listens to our show. He'd be hurting.
He knows he's short.
It shows that when you build a relationship with somebody, and even if they go somewhere else and you don't burn that bridge,
You got options.
Yeah.
Then suddenly, poof, this guy falls in your lap.
Yep.
Which I don't want him to fall in my lap because that's a big motherfucker.
That would hurt. That would hurt. No, and I think the cool thing to me to see that though too is that it's just like the story of Dylan Raiola and how he came back to us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Rhule talked about how that whole thing went down and how he respected it. Hey, you gave us your decision. We're not going to, I'm not still banging on your door every day. I'm not still trying to, are you sure you want to stay at Georgia? He said he left him alone on that stuff. Obviously, he stayed in touch with him because they were still in town. They still have, his uncle's still here.
Yeah, his uncle can talk to him.
But it's...
Yeah, we're not Iowa.
I'm not still trying
text messages in the middle of the season asking how you're doing, but...
are you talking about that offensive lineman that they got from Alabama? Yeah. And the funny thing about that was all the people on Twitter that the Nebraska Twitter base, they love to torment Iowa, and they just go and they're like, oh, I got receipts, and they're just showing all these trashing that kid that Iowa fans did when he decided to go to Alabama.
Well, the bad thing is Nebraska fans have done that too.
Oh,
Nebraska
absolutely.
Kids that leave the state too. So
absolutely,
maybe you shouldn't throw
everybody's
stones at a glass house.
Ernest Hausman come back.
Yeah,
and they all trashed him last year when he left.
Exactly.
I don't know. He's a dude that I'm super excited about because we talked about this too. The offensive line. What was the one major hole? We said Evans Jenkins seemed like he was ready to be the guy when he took that spot last year. And it doesn't seem like Piper's coming back.
Correct.
If you see him, like if you see a picture of him, he was at
the Outland
Trophy Award, and that motherfucker is tiny as fuck now. He has to have dropped 50, 60 pounds. He looks skinnier than the difference between what Hutmaker has done. And Hutmaker has dropped 40, 45 pounds.
Yeah, that was crazy.
He looks beastly.
That's just because he needed to make weight.
Yeah, but
like he'll put most of that back on.
He looks beastly, and I don't know the way that you've heard Hutmaker talk about it. You've heard Jalen Lloyd talk about getting ready for track, and a couple of the guys that are going to be doing track here this spring. You've heard them talk about how they're preparing. I think Carter Nelson was talking about this in his interview out at the Polynesian Bowl. He's like, oh yeah, well I'm gonna do track, but I'm doing track to prepare my body for football. Mm-hmm. I'm not doing track necessarily to win and compete heavily in track, but to prepare my body for football. And we've talked about Evan Cooper. He goes out and finds those like basketball and track guys, and they're not necessarily looking for the stereotypical muscle bound, crazy. They want the freak athletes.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's what I think is so cool about Hutmaker being able to, Frost was probably telling Hutmaker before, no, absolutely not. You cannot go out for wrestling.
Which would be really dumb if he did, because the fundamentals that you gain, footwork wise, hand coordination wise from wrestling, they're undeniably make you better in football.
I know that would have been
most football coaches will say that they love wrestlers.
They want you to go through all
they understand leverage more than anything.
Yes.
And not to mention the discipline that it takes to be a wrestler.
Most wrestlers have been wrestling since they were also like 5 years old.
Yeah.
That's one of the first things you can start doing. But, like I said, you said that would have been dumb. I know that would have been the only dumb thing that Scott Frost did. But
I smell that there was some sarcasm there.
Just a hint. A hint.
Got some sarcasm up my nose.
I was going to say, how much are you sniffing of that?
Yeah, Jesus. We did just have some frosting upstairs on some cinnamon rolls, I guess. We got way sidetracked. Back to the offensive line.
So did Scott.
I was on him for 6 fucking years. Back to the offensive line, though. He fills that right guard spot that needed filled. And, I mean, I don't know. I'm very excited about him. I think Dowdell, the running back that's coming in from Oregon, is probably tied with him, in my opinion, for the most important addition that we've made. Just because it adds depth with a dude that is a top line guy.
I really like, and I know we'll go through all of them, but yes, I love Maskua. there's a couple of different pronunciations that I've heard of Maskua, but that's what I'm going with, so whatever. You know who I'm talking about when I say it. I love him, especially with the experience and adding to that offensive line. I think I got to also put right up there at the top with Dowdell because Banks. Because we needed the big body.
Size and experience.
Possession wide receiver. Like, that guy, I think... the bad thing is I feel like I say this every year with a transfer wide receiver that comes in. Now, maybe I didn't love Billy Kemp as much as some people at this table did, but...
What are you talking about?
You have some Billy Kemp in your beard.
Yeah.
It's outside.
But, like, every single transfer wide receiver that we've had over the last handful of years, like, I loved Noah coming in from California a handful of years ago, and then I loved Isaiah Garcia-Castaneda, and I loved Samori Toure coming in, all this stuff. So a part of me is hesitant on...
Because they've all kind of been busts.
Well, I mean, Toure wasn't a bust.
A part of me...
Well, and Trey Palmer wasn't a bust.
No, and I did have questions about Trey Palmer just because he hadn't done
anything
at that point.
I don't have questions about him with the Bucks.
No.
Something though that backs up your excitement about him. This wasn't coming from a mid-minor school.
Correct.
This is, and Wake Forest isn't a powerhouse.
No.
They're not amazing.
Still a Power 5.
It's still a Power 5
competition.
Yeah, it's still an ACC team, and he played everything. He played the last 23 games for Wake Forest.
Yep.
When's the last time we had a wide receiver that played all the games in a year? I mean, Malachi Coleman played in all the games that he was offered.
Yeah.
That he was given the chance to play. And this is like... This is the carbon copy. He's 1 inch shorter and 10 pounds heavier than Malachi Coleman. He's the same type of receiver that we hope Malachi Coleman becomes. And he got some good experience last year. Imagine if we have 2 of those fucking guys.
I think that's one.
Hey, Dylan, which side do you want to throw? And you've got a guy who's 6'4" that's going to jump up and jump out of the fucking gym and get it.
I think with what you just said was kind of why I'm so excited for Banks is what we hope and project for Malachi Coleman, I believe, is what Banks is already. And we need that experience at the wide receiver position, not just for Dylan Raiola, but just for this team in general.
Yeah.
Well, and Nair, who's coming from Texas, he didn't have a great year at Texas, but Texas also had
injured.
He was injured,
one game.
And Texas has studs down there. Like he wasn't the only guy.
Xavier Worthy is one of the best wide receivers in the country last year.
And he's going to go first round. Yeah. But the guy was at Wyoming the year before that, and that's why he got to Texas.
It dominated.
You weren't just getting to Texas without having some accolades behind you.
Correct.
And he's a guy that I'm very excited about too. Well, another guy with size, 6'3", 195.
And he's the deep threat guy. I was looking up some of his stuff on Pro Football Focus for Isaiah Nair, and his average depth of throw on all of his targets was 17.7 yards downfield.
So he's just a go guy.
He's going to be the guy that goes downfield. He had 12.
Him and Jalen Lloyd probably.
He had 12 touchdowns in 2021 for Wyoming. 7 of them were thrown 20-plus yards downfield.
Damn. Jesus.
So he's going to be the guy that, and even 4 of them were between 10 and 19 yards. So you're talking 11 of his 12 touchdowns were beyond 10 yards as far as throwing.
So he's just really going to help take the top off the defense.
Exactly.
That's kind of what we needed from last year.
Well, you look at what that's what a Jalen Lloyd is, because he's one of those sub 4.4 guys. Malachi Coleman's like a 4.42 guy. You add him into that mix, and then you're throwing in a quarterback who can throw the ball 72 yards. Fuck.
Well, and then conversely, again,
our offense is going to look so different this year.
Conversely, again with Banks, most of his catches were between 0 and 20 yards downfield. So he's got, you've got the ladder of guys that, then we still have Isaiah Garcia-Castaneda coming back, and all, we've got guys that can cover the entire field and produce, hopefully.
Looking at these guys that came in, combined with what we were returning from last year, do you think that maybe that was why Marcus Washington...
I don't think he got the extra year that he wanted. So he needed a waiver.
Didn't he decide not to try for the waiver?
No, they were trying for the waiver. Well, Rhule said that they were trying. Well, okay, let me rephrase. During the season, Rhule said Marcus Washington came to us and said, I want to try for this waiver. We told him, it's going to be tough,
minimal, 'cause didn't he get hurt
try.
Like week 6?
But there's no reason not to try.
Sure.
So, whatever. I mean, hell, Talia Tungavailoa attempted for that waiver, and he got denied, so now he's going pro. So even after he declared that he was transferring to, I don't remember where he ended up saying he was going to go, but then he got denied.
I never saw he was going someplace.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
He was going to transfer. I
saw he went in the transfer portal.
He committed somewhere. Maybe Miami or somewhere. I don't remember. And then he got denied his extra year, so now he's going pro.
Wow.
So, and he was never. I don't really understand why he thought he was going to get it because he played in like 5.5 games. So, yeah, you're not going to get the waiver. I don't know what to tell you.
Especially when you've played a ton of college ball already.
No.
Are you excited about anybody else outside of those basically 4 guys that we talked about?
I mean, we've got 6 of them.
Yeah, there's really only 6 there.
Yeah, but another thing, like we talked about bringing in the inside linebacker from Syracuse. The fact that we brought in a guy that has 2 years remaining and played in Tony White's system.
Yeah, he's already been in the system.
Like, thank you.
And they didn't change the system when Tony White left. They brought in a guy that could run it.
And we need somebody who can be a leader in the secondary for the defense.
And this is a guy that started as a true freshman at Syracuse. Again, like you said, with Wake Forest.
Was on a not very good team.
That's not but still, he's
got a lot of experience.
He was the first true freshman to start on defense for Syracuse in like a 10-year span.
Jesus.
Like,
some bad Syracuse teams too.
And to start in this defense, this Tony White defense that everybody said is complicated and or maybe not complicated, but very
it's complex,
intricate, complex, and stuff like that.
And to be playing inside linebacker, he probably got moved around a little bit.
And he started game 1 as a freshman. Like,
tells you he's got some brains upstairs. Yeah. It also tells you that Tony White probably really likes this kid.
I would assume.
Tony White's for sure the reason that he came.
Do you think, because right now with the transfers that are left out there in the transfer portal, the number 2 rated guy that's left out there, at least according to most sites, is a D tackle or a D lineman from Syracuse that was under Tony White as well. Do you think that there's any chance that we would go add another D lineman? He's a D tackle. He's an interior lineman on the defensive line. That, I mean, we don't have a ton of depth behind Hutmaker, who's down 45 pounds, and
he's not going to be down 45 pounds at the start of the season. That's not going to be a problem.
He's going to put that weight back on.
Yeah. He's trim like that because he's in a sauna for 2 hours a day right now.
The fact that he lost 45 pounds in like 4 weeks, I think he can put it back on in 4 weeks.
Probably.
Like
that is all.
He looks shredded as fuck.
That is all water weight and running 10 miles a day, and
that's not all water weight. Not when you're playing Division I football.
I bet he hasn't had a carb since he.
That's probably more what it is. That's sugar inflammation. There you go.
I wouldn't say that we're that shallow on the defensive line behind Hutmaker and all that. I mean, we still have Elijah Judy, Kai Wallen.
Yeah, but he was playing more outside.
Judy's on the inside. But I mean,
I thought he was playing more of that D end.
It was hard to tell because our defense was such an amoeba last year,
and he also didn't play a ton last year.
No. We've got guys like, I don't know that we really, but the thing is, I didn't really know that we needed.
We're also at like 140 players right now, and their target. I heard them talking just the other day. Like Sean Callahan said that he had heard their target is to get them down to 120.
Yeah.
By spring training, and you got to figure it out after that.
That's 140 players. That's not scholarship.
Yeah, no. They're at like 107 scholarship players right now or something like that.
I saw it like 20 to 25 over, but I used to have the sheet up on my computer at all times checking the scholarship distribution chart. I actually deleted it. I don't care what it is.
I don't either.
They're going to get to 85.
Yeah, that's not going to be a concern when the season starts.
They clearly are not worried about it because otherwise they wouldn't keep adding guys because they're already 20 to 25 over.
Well, and you know what? You don't just go tell the guys right now at this point in the year who isn't going to be there because you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Someone could go break their leg and for sure be done with the season.
The transfer portal is also still going on.
Yeah.
I don't know when the transfer window closes.
It's already closed as far as going into it, but it reopens after spring. So
yeah, I just mean like as far as the guys that are out there, like I don't know that. Is there a list out there of our transfer portal guys that have declared for the transfer portal but haven't moved on?
Our guys?
Yeah. It's like, is this the full list when I'm looking at this on 3?
Well, like Jeff Sims has not moved on.
Yeah.
Timon Lynam has not declared yet, but all the other guys have. But we've only had 5 guys go into the portal. I mean, technically 6 because 1 just came back.
Jake Applegate,
there's a few more on here.
John Goodwin, Baron Miles, Randolph Kapai.
It looks like there's 4 here that haven't actually gone anywhere yet.
Oh, then mine isn't updated yet.
Javier Morton, Isaiah Harris,
Some of these
and
don't have
Chubba.
dates on them.
So I mean, there's some of them.
Well,
here.
yeah, but Chubba's already. I'm talking about the guys.
He's already transferred and then transferred.
Yeah, because pretty much the day that he committed to San Jose State, his coach left.
He got hired. I was going to say he got hired to Arizona, didn't he?
Yeah. Which I'd love to make a comment on Chubba Purdy actually leaving for a troll, but that troll deleted his comment because he's a pussy, so I'm not going to talk about it.
What are you talking about?
He just said he's not going to talk about it.
Now, some bitches like to say shit on our YouTube page, and they're fucking stupid and cowards because they found out that they were wrong, and then they deleted their comment because they didn't want evidence of how stupid they were. So
I hate when that happens.
Bye, fool.
Bye, buddy. Now, speaking of comments, we love comments. Good or bad.
No, hey,
good or bad, throw it out there.
Absolutely.
Do us a favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share our stuff. We would really love to get some help and support. We are
and we're going to send Jed after you for calling you a pussy.
Yeah.
No, I welcome even the negative stuff. Just don't be a bitch and delete your comment after you get proved wrong. I don't know. I mean,
I really like to know who this is that he's talking about because I hope it wasn't a comment that I deleted and then
I don't
call
care.
that guy a bitch.
He's still a bitch anyway, so whatever.
Sorry, bitch.
I'll tell you when we're done.
So of these guys that are out there, if you were going to pick one that you think is going to be the most impactful this upcoming season, just right now looking at it without seeing him in spring, without seeing any projected depth charts, anything like that, what do you based on the way you said it, I would guess you're going to probably go with Banks, but
I think I'd have to say, as much as I want to actually say Dowdell, but I think that as long as we're healthy, we're going to still be, at least we should be loaded in the running back room. Yeah, I'm going to go Banks.
Yeah. I think that's where I am. I'm either there or with Mizkua, just because I think with the getting Ben Hart back, and if he is able to come in and at least be as effective as he was at Florida, if he gels with those dudes from a brotherhood standpoint, that's a very experienced offensive line.
Yeah, he's going to be my guy for sure, Mizkua, because we just got a brand new Ferrari in the backfield. We should probably find a way to protect him.
At least keep from having the fucking mirrors fall off.
I love the addition of Mezcua, but you got Ben Hart, Corcoran, Prohaska, Evans, Jenkins, Scott. You've already got 5 guys right there that are very experienced that could fill in on the offensive line. Then you add Mezcua, that's 6.
Yeah.
We've got dudes.
Options aren't a bad thing.
Yeah. So even if you say, let's just say Mezcua doesn't pan out and we have Latowski in there, who didn't play great this last year but wasn't atrocious.
This keeps us from having to have him in there, though.
I think with the other guys around somebody else, it's still going to be a decent offensive line.
Yeah.
So that's why.
Well, I think we have a chance at this being an elite offensive line this upcoming season. I really do. When you look at them now going into a third year,
saying the word elite is
a third year under Raiola, Coach Raiola, a second year in Matt Rhule's offense, and getting an offense that's actually going to not just rely on them to give as much possible time as they possibly can to get a ball out, or being expected to, make sure you're feeling your feet real well because there's probably going to be a ball on the ground at least every other play.
I would use the word comfortable offensive line rather than elite. Elite's pretty.
I don't know.
I'm not going to use any words because that's January.
Fine. That's fine. Look at how far.
But I like the
fact
Bryce
Benhart's a bitch
that we have options.
Yeah, that's why I say comfortable. Yeah,
and I'm not even talking about options. I'm talking more about the fact that we're going to be one of those teams that when you're watching the broadcast on TV, they're going to be talking about how many starts the offensive line has.
Yeah,
that's a big thing, especially in the Big Ten. We saw it this year with Michigan. Fuck Michigan, we hate Michigan, but Jesus Christ, we're both of their lines, NFL caliber lines in the trenches. Were just that's the exact way you play big boy football in the future now.
Yeah, I like I said, I'm using the word comfortable because going into the season, I'm going to be comfortable with the options that we had at the offensive line, where I'm not going to necessarily be nitpicky and be like, well, I don't know, this way or that way.
Yeah.
I'm comfortable with who we have coming in, at least as of right now in January, because God knows what might change until then. We have 200 and something days. So
I really, really hope that we can see a full, healthy offseason for Prohaska.
Yes.
And maybe he can get to the size that they want him to be and the strength that they want him to be and really get his head wrapped around the playbook.
I agree.
Because if that happens, Corcoran has the ability then to move back to a guard spot. Mm-hmm. And then it's one of those, okay, well, who's the odd man out and how much are we actually rotating our offensive line, which keeps them fresh, which allows us to pound the ball in the fourth quarter like Rhule wants to do.
And it's a great problem to have. And it's a problem we haven't had for a very long time.
And they're all huge. They're all fucking huge. Mazkua actually might be one of the shortest offensive linemen we have at 6'5".
Yeah, that's pretty short.
Well, compared to the 6'9" and 6'10" ends we've got on there.
Yeah, but Mazkua's a guard, so
no, I know.
He's not going to be
joking around.
No, I know you are. I'm just saying.
Joking around. We haven't talked about Bly Hill, the cornerback coming in.
We already kind of talked about him.
Yeah, we talked about him on the.
He was the
show,
only transfer on the recruit show.
Yeah.
I think
I love it. I love his height. He needs to put on some weight.
Well, I love his height.
He definitely has to put on weight.
I also I don't know anything about him because I don't even.
Yeah,
think
I mean,
did he play a ton?
His school.
Oh, he played at some
St. Francis,
some college that sounds like a high school.
Yeah,
St. Francis. Like, okay,
what is this? The Red Flash.
How did they find him?
He probably reached out.
Probably Evan Cooper. Cooper finds all these guys.
Sent him a mixtape.
He saw him at some like AAU pickup basketball game or something. Something like this guy just jumped out of the gym. We got to go get him.
He saw him playing pickleball somewhere, and he's like, "Oh my god, that guy can play."
They clearly aren't super predominant in the transfer portal. They had 2 total transfers this year in Oro.
Nope. I don't know. I'm excited about this. I think we exactly addressed the needs that we had.
Yeah.
We had like 6 holes, and he went out and exactly filled them.
And one of my other things is that obviously we're going to have a bunch of guys leave after spring, but those are guys more of a purge, for lack of a, that's kind of a.
Those are going to be guys
that's
that
an aggressive term,
playing Big Ten football.
Yeah, but
a lot of holdovers
the guys
from the Frost era, and
the guys that have left now are, some of it's a purge thing, some of it's, they want to go somewhere else to be able to play because they know they're not gonna.
Yeah.
The fact that, there was some grumblings of stupid people throughout the season that were like, oh, they're gonna lose the locker room for this and lose the locker room for that, and a bunch of guys are gonna be leaving. With 5 guys enter the transfer portal.
Yeah.
So far.
That's the thing that I think is the
that's
toughest.
tied for the fewest in the Big Ten.
And you can't really blame either of the quarterbacks.
No.
Well, and how do you look at what Rhule's done so far from a recruitment standpoint, both high school recruiting and portal? His first 2 seasons, he's brought in 45-plus guys, both off seasons. You can't do that without having a lot of turnover, and with the fact that he hasn't had, everybody's sticking around because they want to fight for a chance in spring.
They believe.
Yeah, they want to fight for a chance to play for him in spring, and if they have to leave, they will, but it's pretty incredible to see that.
Absolutely.
Especially when you still have so many guys that are holding over from the Frost era.
Yep.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts on the transfer portal?
Good fucking job. That's all I got.
Absolutely. Honestly, as far as any other additions, I still am curious if they're going to bring in a quarterback after spring. I really don't know what that would even look like as far as why a guy would come in with a Raiola sitting right there because, you're not going to play.
It's got to be somebody who
but it's more about depth.
They're going to be a backup.
It's more about... I still am a little worried about going into the season with the 3 quarterbacks that we have. Again, that's not about the talent. I'm not talking about that. It's just the inexperience and only having 3 scholarship quarterbacks. It's like
the last thing you want is having to put in a running back because all your quarterbacks are injured.
Or a tight end.
It also, well, I don't know. Carter Nelson played some pretty efficient high school quarterback, 8-man quarterback. The thing that I think is the weirdest for me is I felt like we always had too many quarterbacks on our roster under Frost. Mm-hmm. And with Rhule so far, it's been like, bro, are you sure we're only going to roll with 3? Like, are you sure we have enough quarterbacks here?
But, we haven't gone through an entire season with just 1 quarterback since, Tanner Lee. So...
and it just doesn't happen anymore, even in the NFL.
History says we need another guy. And if we're going to have another guy, I'd rather have a guy with experience. And yes, people can say Heinrich Harburg, but I'd rather have good experience. So
I'd also rather have experience that fits with the other guys that we have. You look at what Raiola and what Kalen bring to the table. They're elite arms that are not out there to go run the option.
Mm-hmm.
Like, can they move? Sure, but they're not going to be a Heinrich Harburg.
I don't think that's going to be a limiting factor for this offense.
Well,
whether or not they can run the option.
It's going to be a much different offense.
It's going to look completely different, but that's my point. Heinrich Harburg is not going to be able to efficiently run the offense that they want to run, or they would have run it last year.
Yeah.
But to Jed's point, who wants to come be a third-string quarterback to two freshmen?
I totally get it.
You'd have to go back to St. Francis to find somebody
if you're
like
entering the portal, you're going somewhere to play.
Yeah.
Or at least having the opportunity to play. You don't have an opportunity. I'm sorry, but Raiola's the guy.
Yeah.
Whether you like that or not, I don't know, but Raiola's the guy. So,
and it's pretty tough to look at a situation and say, even though Raiola's here, you could be, a lot of guys would say, okay, well, I'd like to go be his backup. You also have another Elite 11 quarterback sitting right behind him.
I'm not worried. You know me. I mean, we don't need to get back into that because we've done that countless times.
No. I mean, if you're a quarterback that's out there that might be okay with coming in and knowing you're going to be the backup, you don't necessarily know you're going to be the backup, especially just after this first year.
You would even have to compete for that spot.
Well, I think if anybody we bring in, it'd be a guy that just has 1 year left anyway. It's not somebody. It's not going to be somebody that has multiple years because, again, he's going to want to start.
Well, I heard Jeff Sims is available.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. I think if Jeff Sims walked back out on the field, like in a game,
there might be a mass flood.
I think there might be deaths as people exit the stadium.
Yeah.
I feel bad for him, but also hold on to the ball, man.
Yeah. I don't know. Some people just can't hack it anymore. Just like what happens with kickers. They lose it.
Don't get Jed started on kickers. He's got so much information about kickers and punters and field, like all of it.
I watched one 10-minute video on it on Real Sports.
You geeked out for like 4 days, man.
And this may be the most unbelievable night in Cornhusker football history.